Welcome back to Fairy Garden Discoveries. Wind may be invisible, but it's always moving. It pushes, pulls, lifts, and swirls, shaping how things fly, grow, and travel. Even when we can't see it, we can learn by watching what it moves. Amelia fluttered through the fairy garden with her arms full of ribbon. Today was a celebration day, one of those bright, happy days meant for music, smiles, and a few silly games. She tied a soft banner between two stems and stepped back to admire it. The colors shimmered like a rainbow caught in sunlight. "All ready," Amelia whispered, pleased. Then she felt it, a gentle breeze brushing her cheek like a friendly hello. The breeze grew playful, twirling the loose ends of ribbon and making the leaves clap softly together. Amelia laughed. "Well, aren't you in a good mood today?" High above the garden beds, two wind fairies drifted past like drifting clouds, light-footed and quick. They spun and swooped, giggling as they sent tiny gusts through the flowers. The ribbons lifted and danced. The whole garden looked like it was joining the celebration. But then the air changed. The breeze didn't just twirl, it tugged. The banner snapped gently like it was waking up. Amelia's smile faded into focus. Wind could be friendly, but wind could also get stronger without warning. She watched the treetops sway. A few leaves skittered across the path. Amelia murmured. "This is not the same breeze." Down in the garden, Olivia ran happily along the path, her sun hat bouncing as she moved. A gust slipped under the brim, lifted it, and, whoosh, the hat flew right off her head like a little boat launched into the sky. "Hey!" Olivia called, reaching up. The hat spun away, ribbon trailing behind it like a comet tail. Amelia gasped. "Oh no!" Above the garden beds, the two wind fairies froze. Then, immediately, they began to argue. "It was your gust!" snapped the first fairy, her hair whipping wildly around her face. "It was your breeze!" shouted the second, flapping furiously as if volume could fix everything. They pointed and huffed and puffed, and every time they did, the wind puffed right along with them. Below, Olivia chased her hat as it floated farther away. Amelia zoomed forward. "Stop! You're making it worse." The wind fairies paused mid-squabble. Amelia hovered between them, ribbons trailing behind her like a calm flag. "We're not going to solve anything by yelling," she said firmly. "We need to watch." "Watch what?" the first fairy scoffed. "The wind," Amelia answered. "We can't see it, but we can see what it does." She pointed toward the garden. "Look at the leaves. Look at the ribbons. Look at the clouds." The wind fairies blinked, then reluctantly leaned in. Together, they observed. The ribbon streamed mostly to the east. Loose leaves slid in the same direction like tiny boats on an invisible river. A patch of tall grass bent, then straightened, then bent again. Amelia held one ribbon between her fingers. "It's moving air," she said softly. "That's what wind is." The second wind fairy frowned. "And it keeps changing." "Yes," Amelia said. "Wind can change strength and direction, even when we don't ask it to." The first fairy's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. "So, the hat flew because the wind pushed it." Amelia nodded. "And because it was light." Just then, the first wind fairy puffed up proudly. "Well, I can fix it," she declared. "I'll blow it right back." Before Amelia could stop her, the fairy took a huge breath and, whoosh, A strong gust shot through the garden. The banner Amelia had tied burst loose. Leaves exploded into the air like confetti. And Amelia, celebration fairy that she was, got tangled in ribbons so fast she spun like a pinwheel. Ah! She squeaked, trying to untwist. The second fairy blinked. That did not fix it. Amelia emerged with a leaf stuck to her hair and a ribbon wrapped around her elbow. She sighed. Rushing is the easy wrong, she said, brushing herself off. We need the hard right. Amelia steadied herself and looked again. They watched Olivia's hat drifting, slowly now, turning in a wide circle. The second wind fairy squinted. Wait. She watched the leaves, then the ribbon tails, then the hat again. The wind isn't blowing straight, she said. It's curling. Amelia nodded. It swirls sometimes, like a giant invisible spoon stirring the air. The first fairy's face flushed. I did that swirl earlier, she admitted quietly. I thought it would look fun. Amelia didn't scold. She simply asked, Did your swirl help? Or did it send the hat away? The fairy swallowed. It sent it away. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then the first wind fairy lifted her chin even though her eyes looked watery. It was me, she said. I blew too hard. I wanted it to be exciting, and I didn't think. The second fairy's mouth opened, then closed. Amelia nodded slowly, warm and steady. Thank you for telling the truth, Amelia said. That's the hard right. The wind fairy exhaled, shaky but relieved. Okay, she whispered. Let's make it right. This time, they didn't blast the air. They worked together. Amelia held one end of a ribbon like a streamer guiding the way. The second wind fairy made a soft, steady breeze, gentle as a lullaby. The first wind fairy added tiny puffs, carefully timed. The hat slowed, turned, and began drifting back toward Olivia like it wanted to return. Olivia's eyes widened. It's coming back! She reached up and caught it with both hands. Got it! She cheered. Above her, the wind fairies hovered in stunned relief. Amelia smiled. See? Controlled wind is different from wild wind. Olivia settled the hat back on her head and skipped away, safe and happy again. The garden grew quieter. The wind fairies floated near Amelia, no longer puffing with pride, just thoughtful. I didn't mean to mess up your celebration, the first fairy said softly. Amelia looked around at the ribbons, the leaves, the banner lying crooked. Celebrations aren't ruined by a mistake, Amelia said. They're ruined by pretending it wasn't ours. The second fairy nodded, and by not fixing it. Amelia's smile returned, gentle and real. Exactly. They tidied together. The wind fairies used tiny breezes to lift ribbons back into Amelia's hands. They nudged leaves into a neat pile instead of a storm. Amelia retied the banner, this time a little lower, a little sturdier. She laughed as she found another leaf stuck to her sleeve. Well, she said amused, at least the wind tried to decorate me. Even the wind fairies giggled. The first fairy grinned sheepishly. I guess I'm better at making trouble than fixing bows. Amelia winked. Practice helps. When everything was set again, Amelia hovered above the fairy garden and let the breeze brush past her. It wasn't perfectly still. It never would be. But it felt calmer now, like it understood something too. Amelia watched the ribbons flutter gently, not wildly. She watched the leaves shimmer instead of scatter. Wind isn't bad, she said thoughtfully. It's just powerful. Below her, the wind fairies floated side by side, quieter than before. And mistakes happen, Amelia added, her voice warm. But owning them matters. The first wind fairy nodded, serious and sure. That's when the most important work begins, she said. Amelia smiled at the garden, at the moving air, the steady earth, and the bright ribbons ready for joy. Then she turned toward the celebration and flew forward, lighter than before, trusting nature, trusting truth, and ready to begin. Remember, mistakes happen, even when we mean well. What matters most is noticing what went wrong, telling the truth about it, and taking care to make things right. Nature is powerful and always moving. When we slow down, observe, and work together, we learn how to use that power wisely.